You're listening to Little Green Cheese Podcast, episode 89. Well, welcome back, Herd Nerds. I'm Gavin Weber, and this is where you can learn about cheese making at home. I have a special guest today, and it is Debra Allard. Now, Debra Allard is an artisan cheesemaker who runs a company called Jesus Loves You. And her husband, Jim, runs the dairy that supplies the milk for her cheese company. It's called Allard's Dairy. Now, you may remember, if you've listened to all the episodes, that Debra appeared in episode 12 of the podcast. She was one of the very first guests that we ever interviewed, and it was lovely to catch up with Debra again. Now, please join me in listening or watching the interview with Debra Allard. Now, sitting in the green room is Debra Allard. She is ready to come on. So without further ado, let's bring her in. Now, just before we start, Debra is one of my favourite Aussie cheesemakers. So let's bring in Debra.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Yes.
Great.
And the video is okay. It's not too choppy. So, yeah, jump in the middle. Good. There we are. Lovely. So, Debra, congratulations on moving from home cheesemaker to artisan cheesemaker.
Sort of. I was home cheesemaker for about 8 months, and then a friend and I became cheesemakers with a little cheese factory. And then after 4 years, that split. And I then became a better cheesemaker. So I went away and I did a lot of courses and learnt more. Because once you get stuck into a business, you can't get out. So we were just doing day in, day out. And then I went to France and I went to England, and ooh, I did do a lot of courses in Australia because they were awesome at the time. And we are really lucky to have Ivan Larcher down at Castlemaine Cheese School. He's just opened up down in Victoria. I did a lot of learning through Ivan. So he's really great that he's now in Australia.
That's fantastic. Yeah, kick up.
So then I became a little, as soon as the little business that we had shut down, I did little courses, cheesemaking courses, where we are up near Byron Bay, about half an hour from Byron, heading north, near Wollumbar, in a place called Burring Bar. And so I did little, they weren't really little classes, they were full-day classes, and that afforded me to be able to go and travel and keep learning. So it was great.
So how many students did you teach at once in the class?
Well, the maximum was about 12. I think the very first class I did way too many cheeses and everyone was exhausted, and it was hilarious. They were just dropping like flies. And I just thought value for money, but it wasn't. That's not the case. We have a fantastic hall in Burring Bar that has a full commercial kitchen, and it was only 3 kilometres from me, so I used to fill up my car with equipment and milk, and we would start making cheese. So it was really great. A lot of people went through those classes, and I also learnt a lot too.
I remember you used to post a lot of your class photos on your Facebook page, Jesus Loves You, which the name cracks me up still. It's just
well, it's Jesus, not Jesus.
Yeah, it still cracks me up. It's a great name. Is that the name of your company now?
Yeah, so we go under 2 names. So we restarted the dairy. We have a family farm of 200 acres up in the Little Valley, and my husband had kept trying to get me to do all sorts of different things once the cheese factory shut down, and I kept saying no. And then once he said, let's restart the dairy and I'll do the dairy and you can do the cheese. And I went, nice. Okay, all right, let's do that.
Decent deal.
So we have Allard's Dairy is because my name's Debra Allard and it's the family name. And the farm's been in the family since 1895 as a dairy farm. Yeah. So it shut down 40 years ago and we restarted it 5 years ago.
Oh, fantastic. So that is your main source of milk for the cheese
It
company?
really is. So the proviso was he had to have jerseys because
Oh, yeah.
that has such a natural flora. It's active, um, and then even pasteurized, it's still really active, and it has a fabulous natural flora. And the pH of the milk's usually about 6.5. So
That's
Frisians
fantastic.
are usually about 6.6. So
Yeah,
and
and
as
there's a
he
lot of fat
milks,
too.
oh, high fat. So we can get up to 5%, which can be a bit tricky because I don't ever skim the fat for hard cheese.
Yeah.
So uh, once, not so long ago, we had a really big drop in the cow's milk, and most of it was fat. So it went to about 5.5, and I was making a
Mm.
blue, and that was 6 weeks ago, and I just opened the blues yesterday to see what they were like because sometimes the high fat can make it rancid,
Yeah.
but it's really delicious. I'm really
Creamy.
excited. Yeah, it's super creamy. A bit
Mm.
smelly because we're also in the silage season where we give our cows silage.
Yeah.
And I always sort of beg my husband, please don't give them silage when I'm making blue because it just makes it smell.
Mm. Do you speaking of silage, I remember back when I lived on a dairy farm as a kid, and Dad during the winter, I think it was the winter, gave them silage,
Yeah, it's a
as a
fermented
supplement feed.
hay.
Yeah, yeah. He used to cover heaps of grass or hay, what have you, with a black tarpaulin, put car tires all over it, and it just ferments under its own bacteria.
Yes, well,
Did
we
you-
don't actually do any of that ourselves because we don't have enough grass, but we buy it
Right.
all in.
Oh, okay,
That's
cool.
exactly
Um,
what it is.
Now, when you use silage, do you have any problems with what is it, butyric acid? You know, the late blown cheese.
No, I had never have. We actually, the way we design the factory is as soon as my husband milks, I only get morning milk because otherwise I have to be making cheese at night.
Yeah.
So as soon as I have to race, he gets there at 4:30, and I get there at about 10 to 6, and I quickly turn the levers over, and the milk pumps straight into my pasteurizer. So
Oh,
the
okay. Yeah.
beauty about that is it sort of bypasses the any problems because it hasn't even been chilled. It is so
Right.
fresh.
Yep.
I only did ever have one problem, and that was because the silage actually wasn't quite right, and I made a blue that from that feeding, and I said to my husband, "Look, this blue isn't right," and he said,
Yeah.
"Yeah, the silage wasn't right." So he said, "I didn't give it to them." He said, "I gave it to them once, and that's when you took the milk." So, but I can never blame the milk on a bad batch of cheese.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
me. And actually, I've only really ever had a bad batch, and that was just recently when one of my washed rinds didn't work. And I
Yeah.
put it down to the fact that I don't think I put the culture in because I'm
Oh,
so busy and frantic. And I panicked thinking I might have had phage, which is
yeah.
where your culture doesn't work because the room is too full of the culture.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and and when you make a batch as a cheese maker, you're making it with lots of milk. So it's
Mm.
not like you've just lost 20 litres. It's like you've lost 250 litres.
Yeah. I
And
was
even
going to
though,
say, what's the biggest make of how many liters? So is
well,
your vat 250 liters
no, it's
usually?
a 500.
Oh, yeah.
But I make 25 different cheeses because I do farmers markets and everybody likes something different. So I try and make sure that I get some money from people.
Mm. Of
So
course.
whenever I do 500 litres, and our cows have been a bit low lately because we've had quite dry conditions here, but we've had rain last week, and
Yeah.
now the milk supply's gone right up. So I've managed to fill the vat with 500 litres. So
Oh,
I
fantastic.
I would make so that was yesterday, and I made 50 litres of kefir. I put 60 litres aside for feta, 20 litres for like a little bloomed Valencia, like a lactic curd with a little
Yep.
ash.
Yep.
So that was 20 litres. I made 80 litres into brie, and I also made lovely pepper romano with 300 litres left over. So
And
that
you
was
did this
all
all
done in one
yesterday?
day. Yeah.
Holy dooly. How many people you got working
It
with
was
you?
just me. So I was like,
Goodness me. I
I
think I've
did.
made can't believe it. That's amazing, Deborah. You are a machine.
I'm really focused, and I put ABC Sydney radio on because I love hearing the traffic report because we don't have any. And yeah, it's just a matter of being completely focused.
Yeah, no, that is brilliant. So out of all those cheeses that you make, what is the favourite one with the customers?
All of it. Seriously, it is just whatever. It's
whatever you make, they're going to buy it.
Yeah, I think I just take. I suppose halloumi is probably, I make maybe 300 litres of milk into halloumi every week, and it just about goes. So I guess it's halloumi. But everybody likes something different, and my prices are really reasonable because there's no middleman at a farmer's market. So I do have a little background in marketing, so I do have little $5 pots of things. So people are really struggling at the moment, and so my goal is that I'm not exclusive. I do have expensive cheeses, but my hard cheeses are all $60 a kilo, and I do little $5 wedges, or I don't insult the customer and I do a $15 wedge because that's what they like. You've really got to feel sorry for everybody out there at the moment. It's just a shit time. So I try to make sure that I'm really affordable.
Yeah, no, well done, mate. Well done. And a lot of cheesemakers are going under. From what I've read in the press, I don't know if that's true or not.
Oh, I don't know.
I've heard a few that were struggling until companies like Cheese Therapy started helping them flog their cheese and cheese boxes and stuff. I know of a couple of companies that were like that. They had so much cheese because all the restaurants had shut because of the lockdown.
Yes.
And they couldn't supply the restaurants, so all this cheese is sitting, maturing still, and they couldn't do much with it. So
I did panic. Last year was probably the biggest panic. But what happened to me was that the overseas cheese wasn't coming over. So the delis that I did have, they were taking big wheels of cheese. So I did really well there. But the little supermarkets, look, if the farmers markets here had shut down, we would be in big trouble. But what happened was that people didn't have the confidence to go into the big supermarkets, so they were coming to the outdoor farmers markets. And our market managers were really on top of it right from the start. And we had masks and 1.5 and crosses to stand, and they did it all so well, and we followed the rules right from the word go. So we were really well supported and still are. So we're really lucky.
That's fantastic that you've managed to come through. I know does the most recent lockdown affect you up there or not?
We have to wear masks. We don't have we don't have tourists, but we still have our regular customers. I think the other thing I had to do was wrap everything. Like before, I was just bringing it all out and cutting it off and weighing it and blah blah, and everyone liked it. But I had to individually wrap everything, so I did put staff on to do that.
Oh, okay,
and no sampling. And I thought, oh my God, how am I going to sell anything?
How am I going to choose the cheese?
Nobody's going to sample anything. They're going to hate it all, and nobody cares. So
it's because the locals will always come and support local businesses. I found that even with our online retail business that Kim and I run, so many people still support us. Even the locals that used to do click and collect, and there was like hundreds of them, they're just buying and we're just shipping, even locally. So there's not much we can do because we're in a hard lockdown per se here. So
see, my daughter, I'll give her a plug. She's in the centre of Melbourne, and she's a pastry chef called Holy Sugar. So her name's Debra Allard, and so she used to work at Loon, and she left Loon, and she does pastry boxes that she sells and people either delivers or collects. So
that's fantastic.
You've just got to
adapt. Yeah, exactly. You've got to adapt.
Yeah.
We at one stage we had to shut down international shipping, which because I run the YouTube channel, we sell cheese making kits and all that sort of stuff overseas, and because I couldn't get to the post office, I couldn't get there.
Mm.
Wasn't allowed to really. And they stopped collecting from our business. They shut down the collection service, Australia Post. So we had to stop all international. But then all of a sudden, because everybody's at home, they want to find something to do. Let's
Yeah,
make cheese and soap and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So they all bought the kits and, problem solved. So,
yeah,
it was good. In fact, last year was our best year ever as
how
far
great.
as
Yes.
retail goes. So,
Same.
I can't complain. I can't complain.
Well, we built our the one thing I wanted to do was employ local people and spend money on local businesses. So we built a lovely machinery shed for my husband. He finally got his beloved machinery shed. So that's our COVID shed. Thank you.
Oh,
COVID.
nice. Is that where the cows line up in the stalls and you can go down the centre, or is it just a rotating?
No, we have.
Milking.
It's called a pit. So you've got a pit. So they walk down to the pit, and it's called.
And that's where you put the teats on the milking cups.
10 aside. So actually, I do have an Instagram page, which it's quite good. It has. I haven't really been as active lately. It's called it's all lowercase, Debra _Allard _cheesy. So it has a lot of information on the animal welfare, because I think the most question I get asked, I mean, very excited vegan who's not a vegan anymore comes and buys my cheese now. So that's always, yay, well, it's a big win. But the most question I get asked, because we're face to face. So the great thing about our farmers markets where I am, we have 6 farmers markets, no, 5 farmers markets within 20 minutes of my place, and I do 4. So I do, I'm coming up. I'll start to do a 4th one next week. So I get asked a lot of questions, and the one I get asked the most is, do your cows just eat grass?
Right.
And I tell them that if they just ate grass, they would die, because they're very high protein, high fat animals. They need to have the same back. I said it would just be like you just eating potatoes. We have a brewery, a big brewery, 15 minutes away from us, and we get all their spent the brewer's grain, and that's 24% protein. So it's really high protein. So that we get 11 ton of that a week. The cows get a little afternoon tea of that. They get hay to work their rumen, which is a bit like muesli, and they also get a little bit of if they're lacking, they get a bit of molasses, because we have a sugar mill just up the road. So we do have a lot of local food, and they're getting lucerne at the moment. We picked up a big lot of lucerne from South Australia just recently. So
fantastic.
And they get the grass. So
of course.
if we've got grass, we've had a lot of drought, but
a lot of the pastures have died.
we had a lot of rain at the beginning of the year. We had about 500 mil in about 4 days, and it was too wet to put our winter grass in. So by the time we did get the winter grass in, we didn't get any rain until 2 weeks ago. So we've had about 4 months with no rain. And as soon as it rained, the ryegrass just went. It's now waving in the breeze, which is fabulous.
So will some of that be converted to hay?
No, we don't have the equipment to do that. We only have 200 acres.
Right.
So we don't have, and it's quite hilly. Like, we do have lots of mountains. So we don't have as much flat area.
Oh, okay. So no haymakings, just the cows eat the ryegrass.
That's right, yeah.
All right, cool. That's fantastic. And it's so good that you're using all those different feedstocks from local businesses as well, as you said. So that's so good.
It's really great. And it's great for us because there's always bee drinking. So there's always brewer's grain. And when we have drought, the brewer's grain saves us. So keep drinking beer.
Yes, everybody drink more beer. Oh,
Stone and Wood, big plug.
For your cows. Yeah, there you go. There's a plug for them too. So some of the courses that you said you did, you went overseas to do some of these courses, is that right?
So I went to France with Rosie Cupid from Cupid's dairy, Cupid's Cheesery.
Yeah.
Rosie and I went to Ivan's farm before he sold it, and we had a week there, and it was just fabulous. I also went to Italy, and so I went to a lovely mozzarella factory and fine-tuned my mozzarella skills.
Yeah.
Before I forget, I'm on what's the Facebook page? Is it Curds and Whey on
Yeah,
Facebook?
Curds and Way Down Under.
I do tend to put little recipes up there as well, and lots of hints and tips. So Google, if you search for my name in that, you'll see a lovely brie recipe, and even cottage cheese, just a lovely simple cottage cheese.
I'll tell you what, cottage cheese is my nemesis. I just cannot perfect it. Are you using raw milk when you make cottage cheese?
I don't use raw milk. We pasteurize to 65.
Right.
For 10 minutes.
That's lower than what normal commercially,
it's 72 for 5 seconds, and the 65 is still a lovely gentle heat. I just cannot be bothered. I did make a couple of batches of this lovely raw milk hard Alpine cheese, and this New South Wales Food Authority just do not want me to do it. So, and you know what? I've made since pasteurized batch. It's just as good. So, when you get audited every year, and you can just fly through it without any problems, which I usually do, and that will be the thing that they will hound me on. It is just not worth it.
Yeah, I was going to say that. What are the regulations behind it? I know that the food standards are meticulous.
So every state's different, but the testing. So I have to get a batch of cheese every 10 batches tested. We've come to an agreement that I will do one a month, one testing. So I did 2 testings last month, and it was $500 just for 2 bits of cheese to go up to Brisbane and get tested for E. coli, salmonella, and listeria.
Yeah.
So if it was raw milk, it would be tested all the time, and it's just a pain in the ass. And it's a
big cost too.
It's a big cost, and it's just really, for me, it's just not worth it. We've got Will Stud that lives up the road, and he is a real raw milk. Yeah, and we don't discuss that anymore. Yeah. Because there are people in Australia doing it, and look, that's just fine. Good on you for doing it, because I remember when I was doing the classes, we were talking about that. I was experimenting. I did have a little cheese room in my house that I tacked onto the veranda that was Safe Food approved. So I could make as much cheese there, and I could even sell it if I wanted. But I did have a run of making raw milk cheese when I came back from France, because that's all we learnt in France was raw milk. Yeah. And gee, it cuts out a lot of time. Anyway, when I did my classes, we used pasteurized milk, but I made a batch of raw milk cheese, and I would say to everybody, now this is raw milk, eat it at your own risk. There's non-raw milk cheese, there's pasteurized milk cheese there, that's raw milk. Anyway, about a week after, I had this massive weekend where I had about 50 people over the weekend. And 30. And this one lady rang me up. She said, I went to the hospital. I had a very big food poisoning reaction, and the doctors all said it was your cheese.
Right.
And I completely freaked out. Nobody else. I rang my friends or the lady that worked for me, because she was stuffing it in. And I said, are you all right? Is everyone all right? Yeah, fine. It's just that the fact that lady, they'd said to her, what had you eaten? She'd said that, and they went, that's what it is.
Assumption, yeah.
And I just don't have the energy to deal with that at a farmer's market with pregnant people and sick people and old people, and so people not wearing masks at Mullumbimby, and so so I just don't do it. Yeah, I get asked all the time because it's Mullumbimby, and I say, no, get your own cow, do it yourself.
Yeah, exactly. When I can get my hands on raw milk, I do use that, but it's for personal consumption only, and I make sure that my home cheese setup is as clean as I possibly can, and all that sort of stuff. So, and I really only do the hard Alpine
Yeah,
or hard
a bit.
Italian cheeses,
Yeah, yeah.
which are a bit safer. So
It's interesting though. The bries would actually break down a lot quicker, which was interesting. I found that the
mm,
soft cheeses would break down, and but yeah, that's okay. It's just
yeah,
it's good. It's good to
it is what
try
it is.
it. Yeah,
That's right. You've got to give it a go
yeah,
if you can. But
exactly right.
like I said, for the commercial point of view, it's like you said, it's a lot less hassle having to do that and a lot less cost for you.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And as I say to everybody, it's only pasteurized at 65. It's still got great gut bacteria in it.
Yeah, exactly. Um, and having that low temperature, there's a lot more active lactic
Yeah,
bacteria.
exactly.
Yeah, that's cool. So as far as we've already covered the popular cheese. So as far as I know you make a lot of cheese, different types. What's your personal favorite to make?
I do love the washed rind. So I make
Mm.
a Reblochon style called Velvet Chaussette because it smells like a velvet sock.
Oh,
And the batch that I've just made, because I have these like a bread making racks in my aging room. And
yeah,
so all most of the hard cheese I do is all vac sealed, and they're only like the 1 kilo size, 1 to 1.5.
yeah.
Um, and then I do a lovely a tilsit, so it's like a rind scrubbed semi hard, so it's got a bit of give, and it's a salty burnt butter flavor, which is really delicious.
I know there's a Tilsit video coming up after our session.
So I do a little scrub, and so my room is around 10 degrees, which is a really nice
Less,
temperature. So
yeah,
it's a little less, and that means that it stabilizes everything. The blue mold doesn't. I actually had a bit of a problem with it about a month ago where it just could not get under 15, and the blue mold just grew on these bloody cheeses, and I'm scrubbing and scrubbing.
yeah,
Once it gets down to 10 and it's solid for 10, I don't even have to really worry about it too much except at the initial stages.
yeah.
So I also do the hard alpine that's got a scrubbed rind as well, and the velvets. So the velvets usually have a plastic covering over the top to keep the humidity in, and if it gets too humid, I can just lift it up.
Yeah,
But this particular batch, because I had a failed batch the batch before, I took all the plastic off to stop it getting too moldy, and
mm,
I'm just about to put photos on Instagram, probably maybe tonight. They're
yeah,
just so beautiful, and they're probably one of the nicest feeling. They're not too sticky, they're not too
yeah.
dry. And then when they get a little bit too dry, I'm putting them into those clear containers with the little racks in it that you
Oh,
can get
yes,
from the
yes,
supermarket. So,
yeah.
but
So
yeah,
how
I
do
do
you?
love it.
So how do you? I feel like a newbie in front of you now. Um, how do you? You've had so much experience. It's just great. Um, how do you keep? So if you're making all these different mold ripened cheeses, so your white mold, blue molds,
Yeah,
and red smeared,
yeah.
wash rind cheese. How do you keep them all separate and not get cross contamination?
Oh, look, it's so fun. So that room that I'm describing, it's about the size of a smaller shipping container,
Right.
even though it's just directly onto my make room. So in there, as I said, I've got the vac sealed Romano type peppery, and I've got
Yeah.
also a farmhouse cheese that I do. They're all stacked on those bread trolleys
Yeah.
sky
So there's
high.
no issue with those at
No
all.
issues with that. I don't even turn them.
Yeah.
They say turn them to distribute the fat. You know
Yeah.
what? It doesn't make any difference.
Yeah.
So, and I've got my little Alpine style cheeses, and I've got my trolley with all the wash rinds. Now, all those red decor containers with the
Yeah.
racks,
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
my bries and my little ords are all in there, and that way I can adjust the lids. So
Mm,
I turn them every second day. Now, the more you look after your babies, the better they will be. If
yeah.
I don't go in there for 4 days, it all goes a bit arse up. So I have to make sure. I think I need to go home. No, just walk in that room and turn those bloody cheeses, and everything will be all right. So you turn, and the little decor containers are just so great. They just keep them off the bottom. They don't dry out. I don't wrap them
Yeah.
until the week that I'm going to sell them.
Oh, okay. So
So
how many weeks?
commercially, well, the little bries are only about 85 grams, so they're only
Right.
sort of that size,
Small. Yeah.
and they're
Yeah.
only little thin ones because they're only $5 cheeses.
All right. Yeah.
So I don't make, and the big ones, big bries take too long to age, and then there's that core, and they're just not right.
Yeah.
The little ones, and I Cheese Links has got all the great, and I'm sure
Mold.
you
Yeah.
guys have too.
We
But
do.
the hoops are just the little ones are so cute. They're ready in about 21 days.
Oh, okay. And then you wrap them. And then
we wrap them, and then
and
they probably only last about 2 weeks after that. Then they get a bit
sell
strong.
them. Yeah.
And sell them. So they're wrapped, they're sold that week. And people say, how long do I keep them for? Oh, don't keep them, just eat them.
Eat them. That's right. They're ready now. Go.
Ready now. So
right.
Those decor containers are perfect. You can, if they're starting to get a bit tacky, and you can tell, like, because you're turning them every 2 days, then just adjust the lid. Don't take it off. Just tilt the lid, stack them all up, and then then wait 2 more days, and then they'll start to dry out. Then put the lid back on them.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I use those red decor containers as well.
So good.
We sell so many of them. It's
I
incredible.
know. Well, actually,
great.
the patty cake Systema ones are better. And I actually email New Zealand because that's where they're made, and they send me 50 racks at a time.
Oh, okay.
So they're actually better for my Lola. I do a Camembert Gorgonzola cross. So they're a bit bigger. But the bries, the little red ones are perfect.
Yeah. I can fit 3 at a pinch in one of the red containers. I use the 3.5 litre, I think. Red one.
I do. Same. And I do 6. So I get 6.
Oh, it must be. They must be tiny. So they're not the 10 centimetre Camembert.
Not very
small.
good.
Doesn't matter. Math. Don't worry about the maths. But that's amazing, because so the home cheesemaker and the commercial cheesemaker do the same thing.
Similar. I actually, people have got them on the racks. As soon as I start to go bigger for Christmas. Christmas is a freaking nightmare. But as soon as I go bigger, blue spots happen, and they dry out, and I can't do them on racks. So I just have to
make more. Run out. I don't make more.
I do make a bit more, but not many more. Because as soon as I double the size, it just doesn't start. It starts to get a bit crazy.
So how many days a week are you working, Debra?
7.
7 days a week. I know this is a Sunday. I'm sorry.
No. Sunday makes no difference to Monday.
So do you still make cheese on the Sunday? Did you make cheese today?
Always. So it's all about the timing. So we just had our first couple of days off last week. We came back last week. It was our first days off in 2 years.
Oh.
So I'm the problem. It's not Jim, it's me. Because if I start making cheese on Saturday, it's all wrapped, packaged, put away by Tuesday afternoon. I've got this fabulous girl called Stacey that comes in on Tuesday. We make a big batch of halloumi, ricotta. I do mozzarella. We're packaging the feta. We're doing the last bits, all the little ords get cut up. Tuesday is a big day, and she mops out while I'm doing my last orders at 4:30. She's mopped out. She's washed all the trolleys. Everything's washed. And I just pop in on Wednesday for half a day, and then just finish orders ready for the farmers markets, pack the eskies. So, when you're dealing with lots of cheese, you sort of need to be in there every day, even if it's half a day. So I start making cheese Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. I don't make anything on Tuesday that rolls over to Wednesday now, so that the factory is clean. Thursday, Friday, I'm up at 4 to do the farmers markets, but I'm back at 12. So our markets just go 7 till 11.
All right. So they're not Saturday markets. They're weekday markets.
I have a girl that does my Saturday markets because I'm better off making cheese.
Yeah.
So yes. Friday are my big ones, Byron farmers markets, and farmers markets are very big, and a lot of the chefs pick up on Thursdays. So I have my little cheese truck is full to the brim, and by Saturday, so the cheese factory, I have a cool room that comes the aging room comes off one side of the make room, and the cool room comes off the other side. So I can walk in and pack, and then I can walk in the other end and stack into the cheese truck.
And you have to wear a parka in the cool room.
No, I'm really.
No. You're not going to get cold. Goodness me. You're in there all day.
No, in and out, in and out.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah, in and out.
So on a good day, so that Thursday, where all the chefs come and buy all your cheese.
So great.
How many kilograms are you selling in that day?
Oh, fair bit. The cool room's absolutely chock-a-block on Wednesday. By Tuesday afternoon, it's full. I do kefir and yogurt and cottage cheese and cream cheese and mozzarella and stracchino and
so all the fresh cheese,
fetters and all with 10-day use by dates. Like who would have thought that I could sell that? But I have to, like today I made 8 liters of stracchino, just tiny. But it just adds that excitement to someone that stands at my stall and goes, "Oh my God, I don't know what to buy. Buy everything." So, and I do little $5 ones, I do $10 ones. So by Wednesday morning, I've packed all my orders. I don't do much retail because they're a pain in the ass. I hate chasing up invoices, and I hate I hate all that.
So direct to the public is
direct to the public, 100% profit. Well, 100%.
Well, as much as you can.
And I love communicating with people. I just, I do culture butter, I do the buttermilk, and it's all just. I do a lot of things without salt, so that people that are on,
are salt intolerant,
salt
or less salt.
And it's just, and I use Olsen salt. It's such an awesome salt to use.
Oh, the dairy salt stuff.
No, it's
a different one they have.
It's a it's a bit coarser.
Yeah,
it's like a flake salt, and I just buy them in 1 kilos from my general store. And it's such a beautiful, lots of minerals, and it's a dirty salt, but it's a good dirty salt. It's just gives much more flavor than, there's sometimes you can scrimp. Do not scrimp on your milk. Yeah. Do not scrimp on your salt.
Yeah, definitely. I actually remember buying, when I first started the cheese, selling all the cheese kits and stuff, I said, I'll package my own salt. So I went out and bought a 25 kilo bag of Olsen's. It's a flossy, flaky sort of salt.
Yeah, I use that one for halloumi.
Yeah, really good salt. And then I found out that I needed a proper clean room and all that.
Right.
So I just used it for cheese making at home.
Yeah,
so 25 kilo. It took me nearly a year to get through that bag.
I go through a bag a week with the halloumi. Yeah. In fact, make sure when you're making halloumi that your salted brine is made the day before in the fridge, because when it comes out and it's still, you're packaging it, it's just much better for it to go into a really cold brine. I've always got cold brine in buckets. I've got about 40 litres, maybe 60, maybe 70 litres of brine ready to go in the cold room. And always use your brine for when you're brining hard cheese. Just keep it in your fridge for the next batch. It just gets better and better.
Yeah. I find that I reuse the brine until it really stinks, and maybe that's just me. But if I've used it for washing, for brining a cheese with Brevibacteria linens, then I find that I have to pasteurize it, and I just use that separately because it will contaminate. I find it contaminates the other cheese. I don't know about you.
I dry salt my bries. I dry salt my wash dryings. I only use a brining solution for hard cheese.
Oh, okay.
Semi-hard cheese. And when you're making Jarlsberg, it's such a great cheese to make at this time of the year because you can just put it in your pantry or your walk-in wardrobe.
Many
times I've had
it blow up.
I've had a room full of cheese, and it's the right conditions, and you don't get holes if you oversalt it. So a kilo-sized cheese, I use like those ricotta baskets, and I just turn them in there. And actually, I'm not really pressing them anymore. So I put the timer on, and I make sure that I fish them out after 7 hours.
Yeah, for a kilo, about that.
For a kilo.
I can't remember what my recipe is, but I think it's about the same because I found that all the people that replicate the recipes that I put up on YouTube, they all get massive big holes, which is
Yeah,
fantastic.
yeah.
I love their eyes, and that it just makes the perfect nuttiness, and it's just a great cheese.
It's
Jarlsberg,
great.
as far as holy cheeses go, or cheeses with eyes in them, I kind of steer clear of the things like Emmentaler. It's a lot
Yeah,
harder because you got to
same.
make a really big wheel. Whereas the Jarlsberg you can make a 1 kilo, 1.2 kilo with a 10-litre make, and it's just
It's just
perfect. It's great.
perfect.
It's a great
And
cheese.
and yeah, I finally stopped using domestic vac sealers. I finally, during COVID, got myself a decent one because I just had about 4 on the go all the time. And then I
Yeah.
thought, oh, for God's sake, grow up. Yeah, that's
Oh,
when being a home cheese maker commercially, you just have to sort of bite the bullet.
yeah.
I have always had a dishwasher in the cheese factory, though. It's really
Yeah.
essential.
Yeah, definitely. Because I wash my molds in the dishwasher as well,
Yeah.
and then sanitize them after that. It's a lot less fuss. I don't know if that's what you're using yours for, and some of the equipment, the stainless steel equipment. That's what I use as well.
All
And,
right.
and then you go and sanitize it after that. So
Was it try dry salting your bries and your instead of putting them in the brining? The
yeah,
brining
I used to do
solution.
that with the camembert and and that works, no problems at all. I just found when I'm making so many of those, I've got a recipe for a stabilized paste camembert style. It's not really camembert, but that's what I call it. It's out of Gianna Caldwell's book. She does
She's
this.
amazing.
Yeah, she does this fake camembert sort of thing. Oh, that's what I call it anyway, fake camembert. And it says specifically don't dry salt it. It says brine
All
it.
right.
So,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
that's the only bloomy cheese that I will brine. I usually dry salt everything else,
Yeah. Yeah.
especially the blues. Oh, always just
Oh,
the blues.
always. Well, my
Always
blue
the blue.
uh, is a great recipe. I started off with a Stilton recipe, and I just kept sort of
Modifying.
modifying it. So the blue recipe, I'm just going through my brain here. It's just Flora Danica and penicillin rock 40i liquid,
Yeah.
and in the milk, and then I drain it over. I drain the whey off the curd. So actually, I've got a big white, like a bathtub. Trying to get
Right.
my hands in.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
can't work this out. I'm like my sister. Oh my God, I'm so uncoordinated. So I've got like a big white vat with
Yeah.
like a bath with a screw top plug down the bottom. And
Right.
so now I make the blue curd in the bath because it's the most boring thing to make. It's you add the culture. Oh, you have to get it down really low to about 34 degrees. You
Yeah.
add your Flora Danica and your penicillin,
Right.
rock 40i,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then you let it sit for an hour and a half. Boring. You go off and you
Yeah. Go do other stuff.
sleep. And then you add your rennet and you let it sit for an hour. But I do
Mm.
a flock test with that all the time.
Yeah.
And then you cut it and you spend it for 10 minutes, and then you just slowly stir it just for 5 minutes, and then you come back for another 10, do a little stir. So over an hour, you maybe just stir it a few times.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then I
Just let it expel away slowly.
I
Yeah.
bucket that into my white vat with
Yeah.
all this with all these ricotta baskets on the plug. And then I've got a bucket full of sanitizers to keep that from floating. And so
Yeah.
I bucket it all. And so overnight, all the whey drains out of it. And then the next
Ah, yeah.
day, I crumble it, and then I stir in 2.5% of salt.
All right. Yep. Yep.
So that's all crumbled. The salt's crumbled through it, and then I throw it into hoops in that tub and put the lid on it. And then
All right.
every
Yep.
day I just turn it every day. And then when the
For
blues, well, it depends
for how long?
on the
About
weather.
5 days?
We're subtropical, so
Yeah.
sometimes that room might get about 25 degrees, and at the moment it's a lot lower, like 17.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it's at that room temperature until the blue starts to appear on the
Right.
outside.
Yep.
But
Yep.
you do turn it every day. That's all you have to do.
Just
And
helps
then
it form, right?
it just sets the top to the bottom.
Yeah.
And drains. You've got to keep it draining. Make sure it's out of the way.
Mm.
And then after, say, day 5, you'll start to see a little blue haze coming through. if I leave it too long, it gets too much blue on the outside. It scares everybody. So
Yeah, yeah.
now I tend to just be a little bit sort of on the lesser blue. And I once had I've got Steve Snow's restaurant Fins. They had a new chef, and he goes, "Oh, that blue is very
It's so,
scary."
so
And I'm like,
blue.
"Oh, shut up! Just love it like everybody else." So now I'm a little bit on the not so blue side. So I take it just a day under. Actually, it sort of
Yeah,
depends on how my week's going. If I
yeah.
really don't have time and I don't want to be in there another hour, and I double wrap it with foil.
Right. That was what I was going to ask. How do
Okay.
you wrap it for marketing for
So
selling?
you asked me a question which I probably can talk over the top of you. So in my aging room is the soft cheese, the hard cheese.
Right.
I have wine fridges all over my house.
Right.
And in my house, I've got 4 standard size wine fridges with the Jarlsberg in it for
Right.
80 degrees. And I've also got a big one for at 12 degrees for my blue. I don't have those blues anywhere near my aging room because it just
Right.
nuts. So they have
Contaminate.
their own wine fridges.
Right.
So I double foil it
Right.
when it's got that blue on it, and I whack it in my wine fridge at 12 degrees, and I don't touch it.
Right.
I actually put now lots of baking paper in it because they're starting to when
They're seepage. Yeah.
and I
So
walk past and think, oh, the dogs must have brought up a dead goat or something. It's like, oh no, it's okay, it's my blue. That's all right.
it's fine. They get a bit smelly. It's no big deal.
The blues are ready.
Right. Time to sell them.
So then that really, what I said at the beginning of the show, that really heavy duty cream one,
Yeah.
I loaded my car up with them and took them back to the cheese factory, and I take the foil off because it's really putrid and gooey and a bit sticky, and I rewrap them in one layer of foil, and then I stick them in the cool room, and then they'll stay there for about 6 weeks until they've all sold. So next week I'll start another lot of blue.
So how sorry, I must have missed it. How long in the wine fridges after you've wrapped them in the foil?
It's about 6 weeks. You can start eating them at 4 weeks. So I do a few different. So they're in a
about that big.
That's it.
Yeah, not that big. This big.
I do some smaller and some a bit bigger because the smaller ones obviously will age quicker. So if I have a bit of a problem where everyone's wanted blue and I'm a bit struggling, I'll take the smaller ones out. But so some restaurants like whole wheels, and then the bigger ones I'll cut up into wedges, and I will vac seal because they do stay intact a bit better. But yes, so in the wine fridge, they're just double layered with aluminium, a really good heavy duty aluminium foil. But if you don't take them out of that foil after about 6 weeks, the foil starts to eat away.
Yes.
So rewrap
I've experienced that.
So does one of my workers.
Yeah.
So now, as soon as I take them back, they're 5 weeks old, and I take them out of that old foil, throw it away, and
Put
wrap
it in
them in a new piece of foil.
Yeah, lovely, and then just sell it from there.
Just sell it from there.
Or like you said, the individual pieces. If you're going to make smaller pieces, then you backpack those.
Yeah, vac seal. Look, the vac seal is great.
I know.
Also, I don't wax. Oh,
yeah, I know.
I only wax my legs. I don't wax my cheese.
The only cheese I now wax is, I think it's Havarti because it's really soft, and when I vac pack it, maybe it's just me, it squishes.
Yeah, right.
And it goes like a flat freaking pancake. So that's about the only one I wax now is Havarti because it's really soft, and Buddha Kaiser, which is one I make occasionally for the missus because that's really soft, a really soft cheese.
It's just like,
but all the rest is just so simple. Gone are the days of the wax as far as I don't even sell red wax anymore because if I don't use it, other people certainly aren't. It's just too messy.
I did go to a cheese factory. I do like when I travel, if I ever travel again, to go to cheese factories. So our last holiday last week, we went to Bellingen and then up. My husband wanted to go on a road trip. I like to just sit in an apartment and watch the sea for 5 days and just not think of
No, and
anything.
veg out. Yeah.
But he said, okay, we're going to go on a road trip. So we went Bellingen, and I've been in touch with the dairy farmers down there. So we went and saw their dairy farm. They have 500. They've got the cows with the collars on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why am I talking about this story? What were we talking about?
We were talking
Oh, the
about
wax.
you visit cheese
Okay.
factories and wax.
So everywhere
Yeah.
I go, I tend to say, "Ooh, who can I go and see?" Because it's a tax write-off. So when I went to England, I did a trip, obviously before COVID. I did a trip to England just because I only wanted to see English cheeses. What? But have we got time for this?
Yeah,
What
yeah, go
happened
for it.
in
We've got
England?
15 minutes.
In England, we went. What happened in England was that in the 70s, they went for the cheap, crappy, shit cheeses, and so they threw out all the old recipes that had been generational, and they just made really shit cheese. And like they did these cheddars that they just mushed up and repackaged, but what happened was when I went back in the probably about 10 years ago, I went back to England, and it was great because they've just had this big turnaround where they go, oh my God, we've got all these recipes and they're just awesome. So I went to this place in Yorkshire called Hawes, and Hawes. And it was fabulous. They have the big sort of, there's a big factory there that's just mass produced shit, sort of K-Philly, I think it is.
Yeah, yeah.
Anyway, this lady had this fabulous 2,000 litre vat, and it was like a big swimming pool. It was a big rectangular swimming pool. And this guy used a big plastic it was a big plastic shovel, and he would just go up and down stirring this, and I was standing there and I'm cutting the curds, and it was awesome. I said, is it all right if I keep cutting your curds because they were too big? He goes, no, I really want someone to cut the curds when they're standing and talking to me. And it was so good. And they had they did goats, they did sheep, and they did cow's milk. Nice. So they waxed everything, and they had a waxing room.
Do they have a machine that they used to use?
It was just it was like melting pots of wax, and they'd set the waxing tables up, and off they'd go. I'd never do that.
Yeah.
I don't have enough time to do
some commercial operations, I've seen them when they make. I think it's in the Netherlands. I've seen a lot of videos. I've been to the Netherlands, but I never saw them making cheese. They have these machines with little conveyor belts, and they go into the wax. The cheese goes into the wax, comes out, it's waxed.
Yeah, and you don't doing it.
I don't know. It must be a pain in the bottom cleaning that machine. I tell you, you'd have to. But yeah, vac packing. And look, I'm 100% with you because I stopped waxing cheese 3 or 4 years ago and just never looked back. Everything's in vac pack. I did a live taste test. I don't know if you might have been working, so you might not have seen it. This was for my lunch today during the live stream.
All right.
And I pulled out of the cheese fridge. I found this 5-year-old double Gloucester. So I couldn't believe it. And I tasted it and it just blew my mind. So, and that was in vacuum. That was in plastic. So that it was in vacuum.
Yeah.
It's just a normal food saver machine. It's
fabulous.
Just fine.
Fabulous.
Yep. So
it was Wensleydale. It was Wensleydale and Hawes. And
Wensleydale, right. Not Caerphilly.
Awesome. No, it was Wensleydale. And it was like Wensleydale with pepper. Wensleydale with
yeah.
But yes, this place, and I look, my brain. I also went to this wonderful place in London, and it was under this these arches.
Yeah.
Lovely lady that looked just like me had set up all this Mexican cheese factory, a cheese factory in. It was one of those places on Monopoly.
Yeah, Mayfair.
No, it wasn't Mayfair. It was a really
Covent
scary
Garden.
No, it was a scary one.
Right.
And it was awesome. She'd set up like there were all these arches from under a railway line, and she had set up this cheese factory in this arch, and it was just so impressive. And she's finished now, but oh my God, we were like twins. It was really spooky. But the other place I really, really loved was I went to New York, and there was a cheese factory in the middle of New York,
Yeah.
And I sat there and I watched them make cheddar. They'd started at 2 a.m. and they would finish at 5, and then they'd have 7. They'd have a big scrub down, and then the milk truck would come in at 2 a.m. again. And I just sat up there and I ate mac and cheese for hours just watching them make cheddar. And the cheesemakers all came up because they figured that anyone that would sit there for that long must be interested in what they were doing. And they
Yeah,
all
yeah.
came up and talked to me in their lunch hour. It was just amazing.
Oh, that's fantastic. So the cheddar, was it any good?
Oh, it was awesome. It was
Yeah.
awesome. I just loved it. And I think, well, the best cheddar I've ever tried was in this lovely place called West Coombe. My friends live in Bath, and so whenever I'd go to Bath, I'd visit cheese factories. And West Coombe cheddar was the best. Jamie Oliver
Yeah.
was really promoting it when they went into lockdown because they
Yeah.
were really struggling.
The first time,
Um,
yeah.
and Tom came and took me under his, came and gave me a little tour, and it was just awesome. I really appreciate the fact that people take their time out
Yeah.
to show you around. We don't do any tours of dairy. We just don't have time. I say to them,
Yeah.
get in the car and just see me at a farmer's market because they don't have time.
And then you can have a chat there and then buy the cheese.
Buy your cheese at the dairy cheese factory. No.
Yeah. You can imagine if you had a storefront, you'd have to hire more staff to run the storefront.
If you have a storefront, you've got to have handicapped toilets and you've got to have
Oh, and all that extra cost. Yeah, I know, it's crazy.
although,
But
it's scary.
no, I tell you what, it's great that you got a passion for traveling as well, and it's a business expense. How good's that?
It's perfect. My accountant just he loves me.
Oh, I bet. You're going to have to hold off until everybody gets vaccinated, and then we go from there, and then we can start traveling again.
We can start
What
traveling.
I'd really love to do on my channel is actually visit some of the smaller cheese factories around Victoria and showcase them, and show them doing their work, and they do such a great. I've never met a cheesemaker I don't like. They're good people.
Well, we all know each other. I tell you, Paul from Nimbin Valley Dairy, he's awesome. Paul Wilson. Yeah, they live just over the hill in Nimbin.
All right, yeah.
They've got they're quite big actually. They're also making cheese up at the Gold Coast as well. They cart their milk up to there. So and they use all their milk. We sell most of our milk to Norco.
Yep.
And I take about between 1,500 and 2,000 litres a week. So if we've got that much. So so Paul and I talk all the time. There's no such thing as competition because I can't get out of 20 kilometres. I can't send it to anywhere. I can't go to, I don't make enough. And so I never feel like there's any such thing as competition. But Paul has stopped me from FaceTiming him in the bath.
Right.
Because that's the only time I get time is to talk to Paul when I'm in the bath.
I was going to say, he in the bath or you're in the bath?
No, I'm in the bath because that's the only time I have time to do all my social media.
You're going to scare people, honestly, Deborah.
He says, are you in the bath? I go, oh.
Well, all right. It depends how many bubbles there are.
I'm not in the bath now. I'm in my
No, I can
house.
tell. Yeah, I can tell. All right, mate. We are coming close to the end of the time for the interview. It's been fantastic catching up with you again. Thank you so much.
If ever I could, I don't know, if ever I can do something and maybe, I don't know, talk more specifically on something because I do tend to go off on different tangents.
I like the tangents. The tangents are good.
The tangents are good. So, and if you're ever out of lockdown and you want to come up, then come up.
Oh, that'd be fabulous. Thanks for the invite. I might take you up on that. We'll see how we go. But, New South Wales at this stage of the game seems so far away.
I know. Well, we are in our own bubble, and who knows? We're about where we are. We're about 20 minutes from the border, and who knows what she's going to do up there. So
yeah, exactly. Now I've got one more question. Do you have any words of encouragement for home cheese makers that want to take the next step and do the sort of thing you've done?
It is expensive and hard. I would say do your research on your food program and get all your recipes right before you start. So when you buy milk in, it is a I think
It's a
though
bigger cost.
it is, but it's on the scheme of things, cheese. Our dairy doesn't make any money. I'm the
Yep.
one making the money, so they have to be
Right.
really nice to me in the dairy. But it would be the easiest thing in the world would be for me to go and pick up milk. But I know exactly what's going on with those cows. They walk past me twice a day. I know
Yep.
what they're eating. I know what they're doing. I know we get all of our fat, protein, all text to us every second day because we get the testing done. But go and get some serious lessons off Ivan Larcher, because you need to get some at the start and then you need to go away and do it and then
Yep.
come back. And
Learn more.
sometimes I go back to Ivan after a couple of years because I'm taking shortcuts and I've forgotten that I'm taking shortcuts.
Yeah.
But he has given me the confidence to go outside the recipe and tweak. And there's tricks to tweaking. It's whether you cut a bit smaller, you cut a bit larger, you stir a bit
Yep.
moist, just so you get your recipe right. And now I only use my pH meter for my brie and my mozzarella. Everything is all, and I do a little flock test occasionally. You need to learn how to do that. So
yeah, I got a video on that.
it's really great. It's really great to do.
Especially with milk being seasonal as well. Yeah. It helps you get the right consistency time and time again.
Yes, when we start the cows in the ryegrass, the thing that really picks it up is the brie. So, and also the winter, when the temperature drops in the cool room, sometimes have to turn them a third time. I only turn them twice after I've made them. Twice. So if it's really cold, I'll get out of my pajamas before I go to bed and quickly drive to the cheese factory, which is just a minute up the road, and do one more turn. So it's just but to go to the next step, it's really, really expensive. Get all the secondhand material that you can. Find someone that's shutting down. Start to stockpile it. Most of the equipment that we have is secondhand. Pasteurize is the hardest one to get.
Yeah. Did you have to get that from overseas?
I was really, really lucky. I Facebooked it on our local Wollongbar Matters, and a lady up the road said, I have a vat that can be made into a pasteurizer, and it did cost me a lot to get the heat source happening.
Yeah.
But we're surrounded by really great tradies up here. So
they helped you out. Yeah. Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah, it is. It's good. But it's a lot of work.
Yes. Well, was the question why, do you work 7 days a week? And you obviously do. Very similar to me in online retail now.
If you love what you do.
There's not a day I don't freaking work, whether I'm making videos or cheese or selling or packing stuff to ship out. So
if you love what you do, it's not work.
It's not work. It's fun. I love it. I really do. I used to work in IT, and I tell you what, it was a chore. It really was.
Yeah.
Struggle going to work every day. Goodness.
How long does it take you to go to work? A minute?
About a minute. In fact, recently, and this is a secret between you and me, don't tell anybody else, I actually pack orders in my pajamas.
Oh, I love that.
In the morning, and then I go, and once all the orders are done, I'll go and have my shower, and so I wash my hands, of course. But in pajamas, it's great.
We don't waste time in traffic. We're out the driveway, down the driveway, in the driveway. We're at work.
Yeah, that's right. Well, I'm at work now. This is the studio where we pack all the raw ingredients for all the soap stuff and all the non-food things. So, yeah, it's a great little multi-purpose space. So,
yeah, well Debra, done, Gavin.
It's a pleasure talking to you. I've got to the 11-hour mark of the 12-hour stream.
Oh my God! Happy lockdown.
I've been up since 5:30 this morning, but
boo-hoo.
Yeah, I know. You get up earlier. Stop it. But I've been on air for 11 hours. You just do make cheese in your factory. Off you go. Mate, it's been a pleasure talking to you. Where can people contact you if they want to buy your cheese or find out where the next farmers market is, all that sort of stuff?
I don't know. So Facebook, Cheeses Loves You. Yep. And and you could just Facebook message me or Instagram, Debra _Allard. That's it, Debra _Allard, ALLARD _cheesy.
Yeah, I can see your name on the screen. So yeah.
Oh yeah, great, good.
Debra. Yeah, Debra. Yeah. Good on, without a H.
My dad couldn't spell Deborah, so I got Debra.
Right, that works. All right, mate. Thank you
Thanks,
so much,
Gavin.
and enjoy the rest of your cheese making career and all that sort of stuff.
Oh,
It's
thanks.
been a
It's going really well.
All right, well done. And yeah, thank you very much for coming on the show. I was a bit worried when I didn't get an email back until
Oh,
today.
yeah, I know. See, it's just...
I was panicking. I
No,
thought, what am I going to do in this session if Deborah's not here? So,
it
was great.
That happens.
Well done, mate. All right, I'll thank you very much, and I'll see you later. And
Good
I'll
luck with the
put
last
some
hour.
notes in the video. So,
Okay,
yeah,
great.
got one more hour to go. Goodness me.
Bye.
All right, see you later. Bye-bye. Well, I think you'll agree that was a fabulous interview. I really enjoyed talking to Debra. She is so much fun to interview, and she is a wealth of knowledge. It is just amazing that she knows so much stuff about cheese making. Now, if you're ever in the area, don't forget to go and check out her markets. But you can find out when her markets are if you visit her Facebook page, which is Cheeses Loves You. Well, thanks for listening, Curd Nerds. You can find my cheese making videos over on YouTube. Just search for Gavin Weber. Or in your browser, type in cheeseman.tv. You can buy all your cheese making needs over at littlegreenworkshops.com.au. You can also pick up a copy of my book, Keep Calm and Make Cheese. It's available for sale at all good ebook retailers. Well, thanks for listening, and stay tuned for the next exciting episode of the Little Green Cheese Podcast. During this podcast, you heard royalty-free music by Kevin MacLeod. I played Malt Shop Bop and Call to the Dairy Cows. See you next time.